I think a lot of stress comes from feeling like we have to explain ourselves perfectly. Like if someone doesn't understand the decision we make, something feels unfinished. So we go back over it. We try to give more context. We think maybe we said it wrong the first time. And sometimes that helps. But sometimes the truth is simpler than that. They just don't see it the way you do. And that's okay. I used to think being understood was almost the same thing as being supported. Like if somebody really cared about you, they should automatically understand where you're coming from. But that's not really how people work. Everybody is looking at life through their own experience, their own fears, and their own priorities. Something that makes perfect sense to you might look completely unnecessary to somebody else, and neither person necessarily has to be wrong. Say you want to make a big change in your life. Maybe it makes sense to you because you've been thinking about it for months. You've been sitting with it. You know what's been bothering you. You know what you want to move toward. Then you tell somebody else about it and they hear the decision for the first time. Of course, they might not understand immediately. They haven't been living with the thought the way you have. That doesn't always mean they're against you. Sometimes they just need time. And sometimes they still won't get it after time passes. Now, that part's harder, especially when it's someone whose opinion matters to you. Because even when we say we don't care what anybody thinks, most of us care about somebody's opinion. And that's normal. We want certain people to look at what we're doing and say, yeah, I see it. There's something comforting about it. But if you need that every time you make a decision, eventually you start living around other people's comfort. You hesitate more. You second guess yourself. You start wondering whether something is a bad decision just because somebody else wouldn't choose it. And that can get confusing because there's a difference between hearing good advice and handing someone else control. You should listen to people, especially people who know you well. They might notice something you've missed. They might ask a question you never thought about. That can be useful, but after you hear them out, you still have to make the call because you're the one who has to live with it. That's really the part nobody else can do for you. They can give advice, they can warn you, they can encourage you, but they don't wake up inside your life the next morning. You do. I think that's why some decisions feel lonely. Not necessarily because you're alone, but because at some point, there's nothing left to ask. You've heard everybody's opinion. You've thought about it. But now, it's just you sitting there trying to decide what you actually believe. And I think we need moments like that. Quiet moments where you stop checking what everybody else would do, because sometimes too many opinions can make you forget what you thought in the first place. You ask one person, then another person, then you watch a video, then you read the comments, then you ask somebody else. Now you got 6 different answers, and somehow you feel less clear than when you started. At some point, you have to come back to yourself, not in some dramatic way, just honestly. What do I want? What makes sense here? What can I live with? Those questions really matter. And there's another side to this. Sometimes people misunderstand you even when you did explain yourself clearly. That can bother us more than it probably should. You know what you meant. You know what happened. But somebody else walks away with a completely different version of it. And your instinct is to fix it. And sometimes you should. If the relationship matters, communication matters too. But not every misunderstanding needs a full defense. That took me a while to understand. Somebody can be wrong about you, and life can keep moving. You don't always have to chase the correction. You don't have to turn every disagreement into a courtroom. And you definitely don't have to explain yourself 10 different ways just to make somebody agree. Sometimes they won't. That doesn't automatically make your decision wrong. I think peace gets easier when you stop needing everybody to have the same version of you in their head, because they won't. Different people know different sides of you. Somebody might remember who you were years ago. Another person only knows who you are now. Some people only see you when you're at work. Some only know you socially. Nobody has the full picture, not even close. So expecting everybody to understand every part of you is probably asking for something people can't give. And honestly, we don't fully understand other people either. We think we do, but there are things happening inside people every day that never get said out loud. That makes me a little more patient with misunderstanding, because maybe the goal isn't perfect understanding. Maybe respect is enough. Somebody doesn't have to make the same choice you would make. They don't even have to agree with you. But if they can respect that it's your life, that means something. And I think the same should go the other way around too. We can stop expecting people to live exactly how we think they should. That's part of this too. If I want room to be misunderstood, I probably have to give other people that same room. That doesn't mean accepting anything from anybody. Boundaries still matter. It just means realizing that people are complicated. And sometimes what makes sense to them won't make sense to me. There's actually something freeing about it. You stop trying so hard to make everything line up. You stop needing every conversation to end with complete agreement. You can say what you mean. You can listen. Then you can move on. I think that's healthier than spending days replaying a conversation because somebody didn't respond the way you hoped they would. And this matters even more when you're changing, because change can confuse people, especially people who got comfortable with an older version of you. Maybe your priorities are different now. Maybe your time is going somewhere else. Maybe things you used to enjoy don't really hit the same anymore. That happens. People grow in different directions. It doesn't always need some huge explanation. Sometimes your life just changes, and you notice that you're not the same person you were 2 years ago. That can be a good thing. It can also be uncomfortable, because people sometimes expect consistency from us even when we're still figuring ourselves out. But I don't think we're supposed to stay exactly the same just so everybody recognizes us. We should be allowed to change our minds. We should be allowed to learn something and adjust. We should be allowed to say, I thought I wanted that, but I don't want that anymore. That's not always being inconsistent. Sometimes that's just being honest. And maybe the people who really matter don't need a perfect explanation every time. Maybe they just need honesty. I don't have all the answers yet, but this is where I'm at. That's enough sometimes. You don't need a speech. You don't need to make your life sound reasonable enough for everybody in the room. You can still be thoughtful. You can still listen, but you don't have to keep shrinking your decisions until everybody else is comfortable with them. At the end of the day, people are going to see things differently. Some will understand you, some won't.